Yo,
How you doing, sir?
what's up?
Yeah, I don't know why. I think I've been shadow banned on a couple of
Want
my
to
lives.
manage the
So,
business.
Well, you had a lot of viewers. I don't know. People weren't just like requesting up.
well,
Well,
yeah, it's like we got the same old groupies. People aren't getting as mad at my phrases. They just consider it normal. If
they're
I go too
onto your
crazy, I get bananaed.
they're onto
Huh?
your tricks. They're onto your tricks.
They are. I got to try some new tricks. I was having some interesting conversations this morning with those
No,
guys. They were like asking questions. And conversations this morning with those
no.
guys. They were like asking questions, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of more of a my cup of tea. I can talk about the Bible all day. But that last guy seemed he was like, oh, okay, so we can get into heaven by works. No, I didn't say that.
That really the salvation issue like really messes a lot of people up. Where so it's like people want to go to the extremes where they'll say works
Mm-hmm.
don't save us at all to the including like repentance. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other extreme would be like the free grace where like you can just do whatever the hell you want. So it's like,
Well, right, and exactly. There are two extremes, but that guy was trying to say because people are good people, they're going to get into heaven.
oh,
And he
no.
wasn't even a believer. So he wasn't even asking for himself. So he was an atheist coming in to like totally mess with my head. So then I said, why don't you tell me why there is no God? And he goes, I don't find you respectful. I'm like,
Respect
I'm
my
like, oh, so I'm
boundaries.
calling you out?
Yeah, please respect
Yeah,
my boundaries. I can't defend my position. Please respect my
yeah,
boundaries.
that's why he got mad. It's like, so I don't know if you saw one of my things was you guys always tell people that tell me why there's no God, and I was like trying to word it in a phrase, so I didn't come up very good with it. But I said, when you ask an atheist why there's no God, they have zero answer.
I have like a
And
very my approach is like very passive compared to Darth. Darth
mhm.
kind of like grills people, puts them in the hot seat,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
good. And my approach is like
yeah.
totally different, where I'll let the atheist put me in the hot seat, and then
Mm.
like I if I'm in the hot seat, I can defend my position better than like an atheist when they're in the hot seat.
Right. Someone said they requested service.
Oh, they did.
Oh.
Welcome, neighbor.
Oh, thank you.
What would you like to say?
Um, I'm a little I'm a little shocked at prop number four that abortion is child sacrifice. Where does that come from for you?
So I watch a lot of true crime documentaries and like police interrogation, and I learned about this thing called it's called like distancing. It's like the psychological thing people do. They want to distance themselves from guilt and crime and shame, and so they like instead of like I pulled the trigger becomes the trigger acts it like accidentally goes off. They kind of like change, or they'll use dehumanizing words to refer to the people that get unalived. And I
Hmm.
just think this is what's going on. Like, so in the past, human societies did ritual human sacrifice like all over the world. That's like something humans just did, which is really weird, I think.
Yeah.
And then so today we like to think we're so modern and advanced. We're not primitive. We don't do these things. But when I look at abortion, I see like that's just a ritual human sacrifice, but you want to label it as like a medical procedure in order to distance yourself from like the guilt and the crime and all that.
Okay, I totally get what you're coming from. So you think that an abortion is a ritual human sacrifice?
Yes.
Okay, so you are aware that a ritual human sacrifice is like the intentions of it is like to please like a deity or some kind of supernatural force in order to either bring good fortune or protection or prevent disasters or to, just pledge your loyalty to something higher up than you would consider yourself being.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you think that people who do get, abortions, what do you think that they're sacrificing to?
Um, I would think it's like the false idol of human autonomy or like the woman's right to choose. Like the woman's kind of making herself a little god and like sacrificing the child for her right to choose or her rights or something like that. It's like a false
Okay,
idol. A false
that's very
idol is anything you like value more than God. So you're putting
right.
like your right to choose is more important than God saying, I hate it when you spill innocent blood in Proverbs.
Okay, interesting. Okay, that's all very interesting. I've never heard someone, put it that way. So then, in other words, you believe that abortion is murder.
Yeah, Schmurder, yeah.
Oh, yeah, murder. Okay, interesting. Okay, I wouldn't really put it that way, like whatsoever. I think that all of that is a little bit of a stretch, but at the end of the day, it's your
So do
opinion.
you
And
worship the same false idol?
no, I'm not exactly too religious. I was born and baptized Roman Catholic. I did
No,
my
no, no,
first
no, no, no.
communion.
That's not being religious. Do you understand what he said?
If
What
I if
idol were
I
they worshiping?
themselves,
Repeat what he
basically
said.
their right
Yeah, so do you
to
worship the
choose.
idol?
Well, they sacrificed to false idols like Moloch, right? In the Bible, they sacrificed children to Moloch. So,
Yeah, and I believe in a woman's right to choose, but I don't exactly
So that would
worship
be
it.
the
I think
false idol.
worship it is a little of a strong word. It's not something that I believe is bigger than myself or bigger than other people, but it's a right.
well,
It's an atomic right to
yeah,
bodily autonomy.
and you have to sacrifice someone else's bodily autonomy for that right.
So what do you think gives the fetus in the womb, and at what time of development gives the fetus bodily autonomy?
Um, well, if we come up with a standard, it's just going to be arbitrary. So, to me, like the Bible says, God knows people in the womb, and so I just say at conception that you're a person and God knows you. I know like there's been people disagree about that, but I don't see how you could get a standard from a human that wouldn't just be arbitrary. And to me, we should err on the side of caution, especially when we're dealing with something like if you engage in ritual human sacrifice, God will destroy your nation. He's not going to play around with that stuff. So we shouldn't be doing that.
Okay, so you believe that a zygote and an embryo have bodily autonomy?
Yes.
Okay, but what, like, not nothing, like,
Is it,
not
they have
excluding
DNA.
Bible wise.
Like
Hmm.
scientifically, they would have DNA that's not the mom's DNA. They're a developing living human being.
Right, but the DNA that they have, that new string of DNA, it comes from the mom and of course the father.
Sure, but
Okay, so it's two people that are creating one.
yeah, but like it's different DNA, so it's like not all of the cells in your body have your DNA. So the fetus has different DNA, so it's not your body, right? Because
But
if
it's thriving off of another's body.
yeah, but if it was your body, it would have your DNA.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If you think that the pregnancy is putting the mother at risk, do you think that aborting that pregnancy would still be considered murder, other than it getting to the point where it murders the mom?
I don't think that's. I wouldn't classify that as abortion because of the intention there is to save life. So I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Okay, but you should still recognize that it still would be considered abortion because you would still be
Um,
aborting the fetus from the womb.
the
You would
it
be expelling it.
technically it's not an abortion. What is it? It's the definition. I had it here somewhere.
Mhm.
Uh, endorsed legal induced abortion is defined as an intervention performed within the limits of state jurisdiction by a clinician, nurse, physician, midwife, for example. It's
Yeah, I mean
intended
that
to
that's the
terminate.
definition of it, but the actual term for it is still an abortion, right?
Well, no, it says the definition excludes management of. Well, no, it says the definition excludes management of. Gosh, I can't even pronounce this word.
No, so I'm not like talking about like the definition. I'm talking about like the actual term. The actual term is a medically induced abortion. It still has the word abortion in it. It's still an abortion. But of course, the definition is going to be different because it's intended for medical use to save the mother's life, to prioritize the mother's life. In order so that you can always make another baby, you can't always make another mother.
Um, the legal definition, or is it? Is this? It's a legal induced abortion is defined by. Yeah, it excludes like if you're trying to save the life of the mother, that would be excluded in the legal definition.
Right, no, like I think you're still misunderstanding a little bit what I'm trying to say. I'm not necessarily talking about the definition itself. I'm talking about the term. So the term is a medically induced abortion, but the definition, it's not it's not an elective abortion. It's a medically needed abortion, right? So it's still what I'm trying to get, the point I'm trying to get to is it's still an abortion at the end of the day. So would you say that you you necessarily
I
wouldn't
don't think it is though.
be
That's why.
for elective abortion, but you can find some reasonability within a medically induced abortion?
But we're talking about like law. We're talking about like words have different meanings in different contexts. So if we're talking about
Right, but the word abortion is still there.
right, but if we're talking about right and wrong, we're gonna have to use like legal definitions. So like legally, it's gonna be different because there's gonna be intention is important. Like the intention,
Right, of course.
the,
100%.
the, the intention of an abortion. If it's to save the mother's life, that's a wholly different thing, legally speaking, than if the intention is to just like unalive an unwanted pregnancy, right? That's totally different.
Right. Yeah,
I make
100%.
a,
No, I
I make
totally agree with you.
a, I make a
So
distinction.
like,
So I don't.
right, no.
You're trying to save the mother's life. I understand that. That's like medically, whatever you might want to say, it's the same thing. But like, I don't. I think there's when we're talking about ethics and what's right and wrong, the distinction is important.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the whole point that I'm trying to make. Like I totally agree with you. I totally agree with absolutely everything that you've just said up until now. But what I'm trying to relay to you, what I'm trying to get you to understand is that you don't necessarily think that abortion is murder. You think that elective abortions are murder and that medically induced ones, medically necessary abortions are not murder.
That's true. We can't say that word though.
Hello?
Welcome, neighbor.
You.
What would you like to say?
Um, I think we could just start with number one. So I assume you're going to prove specifically Christianity and not like just general God, because I could be like a
Yes.
deist for the sake of that conversation. All right, what about Christianity is like true?
You can't be a deist because how would you know? Here, if God
I just said
designed.
specifically for the claim. I'm not saying I actually am. I'm just saying for the sake of this conversation.
Okay, well, the idea is facts are not neutral.
Okay.
Um, like if you walk into a movie halfway through the movie and you see a character sneaking into a house at night, you might like assume, well, this is the villain clearly. But if you had watched the beginning story of the movie, you would know it's actually the hero and he's going to like save a hostage. So facts require context or like a story. Without the story or the context, you can't make any sense of any fact. And so
True.
we can demonstrate that the necessary story for any fact is the story of the Bible, and to deny that would be to deny the foundation for facts.
Wait, sorry, repeat what you just said?
The necessary story for any fact to be a fact is the story of the Bible. And if you deny that, you're making a counterclaim that some other story makes facts true.
Wait, okay. Sorry. In what way? Okay, how does that follow? I'm confused.
Facts require a story. The Bible
Okay,
is
what's
a
the
story.
story? What is the story?
A framework or like a worldview. Like,
How is that a story? What a story is just a chain of events.
because when you observe anything, you observe it through your reason. You have to use a framework of reason to observe the world. And
But what is
so,
observed in this context? What?
like,
What the,
logic, to observe anything, logic has to be true because things have.
what does observe mean in this context?
Look at something.
Okay, how does logic relate to that? I can just look at something and see it and like make no claims or any assertions about that thing. What?
No, there a bunch of things have to be true for you to look at something. For instance, for
Okay.
example, the law of identity has to be true because
Mhm.
you have to be able to categorize and organize what you look at. Because if you can't
Yeah, but you have to
do
look at
that,
you have
can
to
you
observe that thing to
can you
categorize
observe
it to begin with.
can you observe something that has no identity? No.
Well,
So
no,
something
it's just
has
that,
to have an identity for you to observe it, which
yeah.
means logic has to be true prior to observation, which means you observe the world through a framework, which means facts require a story, the
Yeah,
story
but saying
behind your reason.
okay, but
And
saying it's a
God designed my reason. So I have a story behind my reason, my framework for observation that makes observation possible. If you deny that story, how do you observe anything?
okay, saying that we don't okay. You could just observe something through logic. You don't need anything else required. Nothing else is required.
You're kind of just ignoring what I'm saying.
I know I'm not. I'm
You
saying whatever
are.
you said is a non sequitur. You don't need all of that.
I'm
Like,
slapping my big meat on the table and laying it out for you to see. I used the story of the Bible to make facts true. Presumably, you believe in facts because you're arguing with me. If you didn't believe in facts, you wouldn't be arguing with me. So you must have some other story that makes facts true. What's that?
if we're just using story to mean framework, then it would just be logic itself. All you need is logic to observe something.
Logic. Where does logic come from?
It's like self-evidently true. You can't deny logic without logic.
That's
It
not an
proves
answer to my question.
it is an answer to your
We
question.
agree. It's not. I didn't ask if it's true. Obviously, it's true. I asked, what's the source? Where does it come
There
from?
is no. It's just a brute fact. It exists
Oh,
without relying on something
well,
else.
here's the problem. Now,
What?
if it's just a brute fact, everything you say is just like noise. Because
How?
you see Wile E. Coyote? That's you. Because logic is a brute fact,
Mhm.
it's not grounded. So
What does
whenever
that
you
mean?
use logic, you're not standing on solid ground.
It grounds.
Whereas in Christianity, logic flows from the ultimate fact of the mind of God. So I have solid ground to stand on when I use logic.
No,
But when you
logic
use
gives you
logic,
ground
you're
as
floating
well.
in thin air, and so it has no meaning. It's not meaningful or
No,
real.
I already told you. Logic grounds itself.
Right. So now you're wily. So your argument just ran off the cliff.
No. How so? Just say
I just
you just
explained
saying
it to you.
no. All you said was, well,
Bye
my logic.
bye.
I think he's a brute.
Hey, how's it going?
You just started bickering mode. Welcome, neighbor.
How are y'all doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
You look crazy like bananas.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what's to say that your first premise here is objectively truth? because I get what you're saying. You need to have facts. You need a story to utilize those facts, right? And so to say that you're like predispositioning that Christianity does exist, right?
Well, everyone presupposes a story. So if you don't presuppose the story of the Bible, you must presuppose another story that makes the story of the Bible. You must presuppose another story that makes like science and logic possible. The meme,
let's say I'm
maybe
a
the
Buddhist.
meme. Yeah, I put the argument into a meme for people who process.
Thank you. Let's say I'm
Maybe
a
the
Buddhist.
meme. Yeah, I put the argument into a meme for people who process
Thank you. I
information.
completely get the meme, but that's like missing exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that you're assuming that Christianity is the true religion because that's what you're saying. You're saying Christianity is objectively proven,
No,
which would mean that there's only one God.
it's not assumed. It's proven through an argument, right?
Okay, so then can you give me any evidence of it outside of the Bible?
Yeah, facts aren't neutral. Facts require a story.
Okay, but that's arbitrary. I can use any story to justify facts then.
Go for it.
By that logic, I can use any story. I'm a Buddhist. That disproves your God.
Okay, so what in Buddhism exists independently of anything and is unchanging, so logic has a ground.
What are you saying? You're not even defending from the perspective of Christianity at this point. You're just using like a word salad. So like what you need to do is
No, you're not understanding.
you just used a word salad. I had no clue what you were saying at all, dude.
Wait a second, dude.
Well,
Wait a second.
basically what I'm saying is there
Buddhism. The question is directed to you, and you're dodging the question.
there
I'm
has
not
to be
intentionally
I'm
dodging the
saying
question. I'm asking for clarification. I said it was a word salad. I didn't understand.
I'm saying like to make sense of anything, we have to have a source of logic and truth, or a source of existence, a source of truth. And so you need to ground that anything exists. So the Christian God is my ground. He's the revealed, personal, rational, self-explaining, necessary being that makes reality real and logic true.
Okay, well, I believe Buddha does that. Let's say I believe Buddha does that, right?
But Buddha's not
Compare
revelatory.
the two religions. Jesus is revelatory. Buddha is not.
Yeah.
Wait,
so
can you objectively prove your God? Can you like give me
Yes.
definitive evidence that your God exists
Yes.
outside of the
Stop dodging
Bible?
the question.
yes,
What?
because
No,
like
Dude, I
if,
can't even hear you. You're like 30 years away from your phone.
because if you deny,
Oh.
yeah, you sound really low, Tab. If you deny the God revealed in the scripture of the Bible, you deny one or more of the necessary attributes. So like Buddha isn't revelatory. So Buddha, you couldn't ground anything with Buddha because he doesn't reveal himself.
Well, Buddha does reveal himself in the afterlife.
But now you're just lying.
You don't even know Buddhism.
I know that Buddha's not revelatory, and
Yes, he is, bro. He created.
He's not.
He utilizes
You're
his power
lying.
for reincarnation.
Okay,
Is he
well now
not?
you're lying. So do you? So
Wait, how am I lying? How am I lying? Do you have definitive evidence to disprove?
you're lying because Buddha is not revelatory, and you're claiming Buddha is revelatory, which is a lie. And the only reason you're doing this is to avoid losing a debate.
No, how is
Which
it
is
a lie?
which
You're
is
not- you're
I
not
think
even
is
proving that
pathetic
Christianity
because
is real.
now you're going to operate the rest of your life out of a false premise. So
How's it a false premise?
You're going to be fake and inauthentic, or
You're not
gonna
even
be a
demonstrating
Christian.
how this is possible. You're just
this is-
saying. You're just
This is the
saying
body-
that it's a
this is
lie.
This is the body double fallacy. Like, basically, you
Wait,
try to
body double
utilize.
fallacy?
Yeah, I'm
No,
gonna
I
explain
just
it to you.
it's not it's
No,
not,
go
just-
ahead. I actually want to hear this. I haven't heard this fallacy. There's too many people going off at once.
Yeah,
Like,
Well, you're trying to adopt like a worldview that you don't affirm to try to neutralize the Christian position.
but I already but we don't need to go into that because I already defeated his position.
Yeah.
no, you didn't. You didn't. You just
Yes,
said
I
I'm
did. I
lying.
told you-
haven't
I
defended-
told you
haven't
your
given me-
position
haven't
needs to-
Okay, hold on.
I
Can
told
actually-
dude,
bro,
dude,
holy.
Calm down, Landon.
dude. If the source of existence isn't a person who speaks to us, can we know the source of existence?
God never directly spoke to us.
Okay.
He spoke through people.
This is so bad faith. This guy's bad. This guy was already up here.
Hello.
Oh no, thank you.
I'll talk to him again.
I can't talk to illogical people.
Nah, come on. Give
Like, if we kick you off the panel, it's for a reason. You can come back the next day, but see, he's requesting up again. Okay.
Hey, let me
Come on, there's no one
on
else. Come on. Just
Yeah,
on
but
this account, I am.
I don't want to
modded.
talk to you.
Can I be
different
modded?
point. Different point.
Yeah.
I'd rather
So
not talk
start
at all.
fresh. Start fresh.
No.
Come on. The first
No.
point. That's all I want to.
Tomorrow.
At least say my points first.
Tomorrow.
At least say my
No,
points.
Tomorrow.
What's wrong with doing it right now? What changes? That's
Because-
kind of arbitrary, don't you think?
You need time to
Because-
think about your bad behavior.
Because
Dude, just
you
What?
I said
the first
that
point.
people interpret reality through a story, and you denied it, and then I cited Jordan Peterson saying the same thing, and then you laughed,
I'm not
even though
bothered about
he is an academic. And so if I'm not allowed to use academic sources in a debate, like how the fuck am I supposed to convince you of anything? You're just being a
I'm not
bickering.
I'm not saying
know,
you can't do that, dude.
bickering
I'm saying
That's what you're doing, though. Like,
No.
there's no point to talk to you if you're just going to ignore what I'm
With
saying.
that-
you know?
with
And
that
you're laughing
point,
at me, and then you keep. If you're going to laugh at what I'm saying, you keep requesting to come up, and you want to talk to me, but
I
you
just-
laugh at everything I have to say. Like, why the hell would I want to talk to you? Do you not understand this?
I'll just debate you on the first point, then we can start fresh. It's fine.
Fucking hell, dude. I don't want to, though, because you ignore evidence. There's no point to talk to you.
Let's do the first point. Come on, 2 minutes,
Can
2
you
minute
respect
round.
my
I'm
bound-
sure you won't. I'm sure
It's
you won't
real
burst a
simple.
blood vessel. It's
You
okay.
know when I, you know
To
when a girl-
defend, you have to tell me what's absolute and unchanging that you reason from.
Can we do the first point?
Can you tell me what's absolute and unchanging that's not the Christian God, so that you can even make an argument?
Science is like at its foundation unchanging.
No,
Yes, it is.
I don't want to.
Can we? The first point. I just want to debate Christianity, dude.
That's what I'm doing.
We can do this.
That's what
other
I'm
stuff.
doing.
Okay, can I say my point then? Can I?
My
say
God
point?
is the absolute, but to make a point, you have to have something absolute to support your point. And my God's the
I
absolute.
want to point out my flaws of Christianity. Can I do that, please?
But it doesn't matter if you can't say what's absolute. Everything you say is
Of course, it
noise.
matters. Then why are we even doing this, dude?
Because it's just your opinion. You can't. You have to speak with authority. You have to appeal to authority.
Then refute my opinion. Then tell me that my
I
opinion.
don't care
isn't
about your
grounded.
opinion. You can have your opinion.
Then why are you doing this if you don't care?
Because
about
I
anyone's
appeal to the
opinion?
authority of God when I debate, so I have authority behind my word. My position is based on a revealed mind in creation, in human history, that speaks with divine authority. You're trying to say like that's not the authority.
Can I refute why I believe that Christianity does not hold validity? Can I just do that,
I
please?
understand this, but it's just why would I care about your opinion? It's like debating Superman versus
You cared enough to
Spider-Man.
bring me up.
But it's like you're just debating Superman versus Spider-Man.
You cared enough to bring me up, so I don't understand the issue with just bringing up a different point.
anime debaters.
I don't get it.
How are y'all doing this morning?
All right.
Hey, Shaq, you did a good job the other day on my
I think they've
live.
annoyed me already.
Are you
Did
being
you
serious?
remember? Yeah, you talked. Remember that you were like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this." Remember it was
Oh.
at nighttime and
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was insane. Oh
yeah, I had a wonderful background that said
yeah.
something. Fruity people don't create other fruit.
Welcome, Carlos. What would you like to say?
Well, I don't agree with most of the prompts, so I just wanted to have, a discussion.
Okay.
Oh, can I be modded? By the way,
I
don't know
gave
if
you
want
mod.
on me.
Yeah, I think I did.
Okay, thanks.
And
So, I guess my first question is, why is atheism irrational to you?
atheism is irrational because it would be a contradiction. It ignores evidence. Like all my guests, they ignore my arguments, and It's just a blind lack of belief with no reason to support it.
How so? Like, and what things about atheism do you feel like?
Well, like if I'm a Christian, right? So I don't just believe in that without evidence. I have like an argument that Christianity is true. Whereas if I like ask an atheist, like, what's your argument why atheism is true? They always just basically say because atheism is true. Like they don't ever defend their position.
Well, like for example, for me, I used to be Christian, and I spent a good portion, a good probably more than half of my life um, in Christianity, and for me, I don't see where Christianity or a God can be proven because where is he? And that's just it's just a lack of belief.
Well, I would say you just take him for granted already, though, because like he's going to be necessary for you to talk. He's going to be necessary for you to reason. Like he's going to be necessary for existence. It's necessary for logic. So
So what do you mean that he would be necessary?
that I can take any fact and demonstrate that the God of the Bible is necessary for that fact. So I can say the Bible is necessary for facts. You can't deny facts. Therefore, the Bible's true. Because like facts require things like identity. They require cause and effect, reliability of your senses and your cognitive faculties, and all these things require the Christian God to explain them. Else they would just you'd have to say they just are that it is what it is or something. But that's not satisfactory to me. I think there needs to be explanations and evidence.
You know that does make a lot of sense, but you would also have to, like, at least for me, you'd have to explain the Christian God into everything that we know about life, and then also
Well,
you'd also have to explain a lot of the things that God does do in the Bible.
Let
That
me just say one more thing, Tab. It's like think of like we have these like competing stories. I mean, you haven't really said your position, but like let's just hypothetically say I don't know. You believe sort of like a scientific naturalistic view, like there's a big bang, we evolved. And in that story, there's nothing to say that your senses or your reasoning are functional and reliable because evolution doesn't guarantee that like what we if we evolve to think, there's nothing in evolution that could guarantee our thinking is accurate. Whereas if like God designs your mind, since God is like the truth, the source of truth, you're a product of truth as opposed to a product of survivability and like random chance. So your story makes like science and logic impossible, where like the Christian story saves those things and makes them possible.
But then you'd also have to argue that a lot of the things that God has done in the Bible itself are okay when there's a lot of things that he's done that are pretty, in my opinion, pretty messed up. Like for example, First Samuel 15, he tells the Israelites to go kill the my bad, unalive the I think it's the Amalekites, and he ends up saying slaughter all the men, women, children, and infants, including the animals. And so you'd have to argue that that's okay. And just in my opinion, I think that unaliving children and infants is pretty messed up. Or like when oh sorry.
can I
Well, I
back
mean,
up here a little bit?
yeah, you can.
Okay. So first of all, I don't mean to change topics because I was trying to let him finish, but just your story of backing up, saying you were in Christianity, involved in Christianity. There's a Bible verse in First John chapter 2 that calls you out as a liar. And I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm just trying to tell you this. It says,
Of course,
"By
don't worry.
this we have,
You're okay,
by
brother.
this we have no." Well, I'm not calling you my brother because we're not Christian. You're not Christian, but
He's your
yeah,
brother.
you got to be a son of God.
He's your chemical
Yeah,
brother.
not a child of God. He's not a child of God. Let's put it that way. So we have come to know him. By this we have come to know him if we keep his commandments. The one who says, I have come to know him, like you said, and does not keep his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whoever keeps his word, in him the love of God has truly been perfected. By this we know we are in him, and the one who says he abides in him ought to himself walk in the manner as he walked. So this is saying Jesus was never in you. He never remained in you as the truth. You're by your own verbiage, you're saying, there you go.
So, since we're going verse for verse, my question is: so, what do you think about when he told the Israelites to slaughter
Yeah, I
children
can.
and infants? So, like,
Oh,
because you're giving me one verse, but you're not talking about the one verse, and I have multiple. I would just need to know what you think about that verse first before we start talking, because
it
you can
sounds.
read those verses, and yes, respectfully, according to Christianity, totally understand that. But what about slaughtering
I mean,
children and infants, or even with the Egyptians, unaliving the firstborn?
so I can answer that question, and my answer might sound shocking, but I guess you got to understand like God's ways aren't our ways. But the reason he does all these things that, from I understand our perspective, seem awful, he does this because he loves us. He Hebrews talks about this, how like a father who doesn't love doesn't discipline his child, and a loving father disciplines his child. And it's true that like a father, we can't necessarily trust the father's motives. Their discipline isn't perfect. But we know that God is the standard of good, and we know that he wants the best for us. And I understand it seems weird, but he does these things because he loves us, and he has to do this to thwart Satan's plan. Satan is trying to counterfeit God's plan. And God ultimately does this to save us and to free us from the clutches of Satan.
So understandable. So just asking. So when God asked the Israelites to slaughter the Amalekites, including their children, or with the Egyptians, when he unalived the firstborn, so you're saying that is perfect judgment? Or I mean, because like in my mind,
Yes.
if I'm going back to when I used to be
Think
Christian.
about if you get like an infection in your leg, the doctor saws off your leg to save the body. It's kind of like God is sawing off parts of humanity to save humanity.
So it's okay that God said to slaughter
What, like, I am curious, like,
infants.
what standard are you appealing to even to say that what God has done is wrong? Because, like, you're inserting a standard now that you believe it to be wrong of what God has done, right? But what standard are you appealing to? Just your own human
That's the
reasoning?
that's the main issue, is that the human
Yes.
mind can't define what's good.
Yeah, you're
We need a
blind.
mind. We
So
need a mind.
so
We need
so
a mind like the mind of God to even define what good
okay,
means.
so again, that's where I'm asking somebody to actually give me and respectfully give me an answer that it's okay to unalive children.
Yes, God was.
Well,
Yes,
no.
God was justified in what
Well,
He
but
did.
it's okay if God does it, but it's not okay if we do it. And God can use humans to fulfill, like, God also, because Israel rebelled, God permitted Babylon to conquer and enslave Israel and also Rome. So God, this is how God disciplines us. And he does it because he loves us and he wants the best for us, and he has to thwart Satan, who's constantly trying to counterfeit God's plan. And if Satan wins, we're enslaved to Satan forever, which will be bad.
I mean, so just in my opinion, and just the way that I see it, because and I do understand where you guys are coming from, like where where can you really say where morality comes from? Totally understand that, but again, it's just I feel like so we can all agree that if God is real, and in you guys' mind, God is real, we can say that God is perfect and he knows, everything, whatever. But
Like
children,
God being real isn't
Let him
God.
let him finish.
I'm
Let him
sorry.
finish his
Yeah,
thought.
go ahead, man. Go ahead.
for me, it's just like, so God can do anything, and his answer is unaliving children.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know how can we question God? Like, we didn't make a universe. I don't know. I would think God knows the best way to do things. Like, God could snap his fingers and eliminate all the evil in the world, like Thanos. But the problem is, like, you're evil, I'm evil. He'd have to get rid of us, and because he desires a relationship with you, he wants the most people.
So that's another. So here's another question. How do you, because it doesn't matter about me, because forget me for a second, but you said that you're evil. Why are you evil? Who told you that?
Because we're rebel. You're rebellious. We rebel against God.
Are here's my thing. Are you do
I
you
mean, isn't it obvious that humans are evil? Look at like the world, or look at human history. It's obvious.
well, I feel like humans are capable of being evil, but my thing is, how do you know that me and you are evil? Because I feel like we both, and we all of us are trying to seek good, and we're just human at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
that's evil, right? Because you're trying to seek good without God. That's a rebellion. God is the good. So you're rebelling against God when you seek good. And all human attempts to free ourselves end up in enslavement. Like, the Enlightenment promised a utopia. Where's that? Science is going to fix all our problems. Yeah, right. If science develops the cure for death, would they even release it to the poor? Or would the elite hoard that knowledge? Like, we
Well,
live
I
in a
mean,
world, a really corrupt world. And the Bible explains why that is, and it offers you a way out.
well, like well, here's the thing. So, for example, evolution, because we were talking, you guys mentioned that a little bit earlier. Without the study of evolution, a lot of the medicine that we do use today, just all of medical science, would not exist. Like that's the only reason that we have Tylenol, or we're able to help women when they're pregnant. It varies very much so, and I feel like that's a good thing. We're trying to figure out how
Yeah.
life
But
works.
the problem is, like, good is kind of like a unicorn. So, um, I said, like, a unicorn has wings, you say a unicorn doesn't have wings. We disagree. We couldn't. No one could know who's correct, because in the reality, there's no unicorn that we could compare to. But if I say, like, there's a horse that's purple with pink polka dots, you could say I'm wrong, because horses exist in reality, and we can point to horses and be like, look, horses with purple and pink polka dots don't exist. So we can have, like, a meaningful debate about horses, where we can't about unicorns. So if we're going to talk and debate about like what's the good, there's nothing in reality that's the standard of good. Whereas in the Christian story, I have God's holy character. So God, there's something that exists in the real world that makes the word have meaning.
So just respectfully, again, this goes back to unaliving children and infants is holy and good.
Yeah, but like when you say good, it's like talking about a unicorn. What's good? There's nothing in reality that's the standard of good. Where I say, you ask me what's good, I say it's the holy character of the God of the Bible. Do you see the problem that you have?
I do, but also I in my mind I feel like you're not seeing the other things that God has said. Like for example, in
But
Exodus,
dude, you're
what
just saying I don't prefer these things, but it doesn't mean
yeah,
anything.
no, because I would rather have children alive. I would rather
But if
not have slavery.
we can't argue like that, that's now at this point I'm going, well, I prefer
Okay,
God. You
so
go,
why not? Why can't
well,
we argue
dude,
like that?
the Christians ended slavery. You would still probably have slavery. There's no reason to think slavery would have disappeared without Jesus.
And Christians were the ones who started slavery. That's why we had the
That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a dirty. So Christians. So in Rome, 50% of the population was enslaved, and because of Christian influence, slavery disappeared in the Roman Empire, and then it came back with like the Muslims, like invading, um, um, Africa and setting up the slave trade, and so there was like shitty Christians that did the slavery thing, but then again, it was Christians who ended slavery after that. So
That's true. It sounds like there was bad Christians and then good Christians, but
of
also those
course,
Christians were also going based off the Bible, where it says that you can enslave the people
no,
from the foreign nation. It's in the Bible, sir.
yeah, but they weren't. I actually read their arguments because I've studied this. I want to know. They appealed. They didn't appeal to Leviticus 25. They appealed to they called the curse of Ham, which is a racist doctrine where God curses Ham to be the servant of servants, and they say people with like a certain skin color the skin color represents the curse of Ham. And that's one of the things is they would say like our slavery is more ethical than Roman slavery because it's based off skin color. They're a wacko, and it's just a racist. So that's just a debunked racist doctrine that has no basis. There's nothing in the Bible that's like racist or says slavery is good or anything.
Well, I mean, there's a little. Well, so this is the only, and somebody can definitely correct me on this Bible verse, but from what I remember, Moses' wife was, of a darker complexion, and that's why people didn't like her for a good minute. So there is racism, but also my
There was
biggest thing
not race-based lifelong slavery in ancient Israel. And if a slave ran away, there's no chains. They didn't chain slaves, so the slave could just run away.
Yeah, no, they didn't chain them, but they also said that, for example, you can beat your slave as long as they don't alive within
That's
2 to 3 days.
no, but then you're ignoring the verse that says if you harm them, that they get freed. You have to pay them. You get a fine. So if you beat them and harm them, you get paid a fine. So
So,
they had,
so if you
they had
can,
protection. They had protection from abuse that you're ignoring because you want to twist the scripture to fit your hatred of the Bible, don't you? You don't care about the truth.
I do that. Hence why I'm trying to talk to you, and I'm just telling you from what I've seen in the
But you
Bible.
ignored the Bible talks about protection from abuse, and you're trying to frame it like it's
Yeah, it
promoting
says
abuse.
that you
That's
can
a
beat.
dude.
It
You're
says clearly that you
dude.
can beat.
It doesn't say that. You're
Do
lying,
you want me
dude.
to read you the verse?
Dude, but do you know there's a verse that says if you abuse your slave, you get fined? You can't just freely abuse your slave. Why are you ignoring that?
That's hence why, as long as you
Can
can
you
beat
abuse your
them
slave?
and they
Are there
don't
laws to
unalive for
protect
3
Dude,
days,
are there
then
laws?
you're
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Answer my question. Are there laws to protect slaves from abuse?
If there are, I will tell you the truth.
Wow, you're
In the
okay. I
Bible.
can't do this.
I
This
don't.
is so.
I'm just.
This is, dude. I'm sorry, but this is
Then
you're
read it.
lying.
Then read it to me. Just
Okay.
please, then educate me.
What do you mean educate you?
Weren't you a Christian? A
Tell me the
so-called
Bible
Christian? Shouldn't
verse.
you know
Tell me
this?
the Bible verse.
What Bible verse?
Where it says in the
Abuse.
Bible that
Okay,
you
abuse
can't
was
abuse your
punished.
slaves.
Okay, Exodus 21:26 through 27. Abuse was punishable.
So see when I read this Bible
I'm not.
verse,
I'm
You
just.
are a liar, dude.
We're having a
Abuse,
debate, and it kind
dude,
of seems like you're getting very heated.
Okay, you're immature.
No, I'm not. I'm
okay. Yeah, you're not.
The fact that you have to cherry pick to go around everything is crazy, and you were a so-called Christian. You should have known that. But yeah, we were trying to read you the verses. But also, what people also do is something called I see Jesus, which is what they're doing is they're taking what they've learned about slavery, their own ideas of slavery that we've learned in school, and they're putting that in the Bible. Like that's what, dude. If you look in the history, right, slavery was servitude. That's why whenever the Israelites, the way that they became slaves, they actually asked to be slaves because there was a famine, and they literally asked Joseph, which was over the land of Egypt, "Hey, can we become your slaves?"
Yes, it's an agreement. Okay, so you don't understand that they don't understand that in the ancient world, survival wasn't guaranteed, and this is like an agreement to survive together. And so you want to talk about verses. So abuse was punishable, Exodus 21:26 through 27. Escapees were protected, not returned, Deuteronomy 23:15 through 16. So you could just, if you were being abused so bad, you could just like run away, and they weren't allowed to return you to abuse. Also, servants could, or slaves that they want to, I would say servant, but they want to say slave. Slaves could own property, marry, rest on Sabbath, and in some cases integrate into Israel. So when we put this in context, it's really not cruel, oppressive, or anything bad like they want to frame it out to be. Welcome, Demi.
Hello. Good morning.
What would you like to say?
Wherever you are, I don't know. Well, I guess what I want to say is, so I do a lot of my own, independent debating and research. I grew up Christian. I will admit, no, I don't know every verse of the Bible by heart, but I do carry a little one with me from time to time just to kind of, fact check myself. Do you mind if I ask like some yes or no, what you kind of think questions, just to kind of?
Well, I'm not like a Bible expert. I do the transcendental argument for God here. I'm not here like trying to.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, yeah, a lot of people would be like, well, what verse is this? And I'm like, I just don't always exactly know. But, okay, do you guys believe that God has a plan for you and everything else?
Sure, but what's your intention for this?
I just kind of want to see, maybe give me a starting point. I just kind of see what you guys.
Yeah, God has a plan. God plans everything.
I guess my follow up to that would be, can that plan be changed?
No.
So, can I ask about do you believe prayer works?
Yes.
Can I ask you maybe expand on that? Like, how so?
I don't know what you mean. You talk to God.
What do you think? How would you define prayer for anybody? Like, what is prayer in any religion? What is the concept of it?
What the fuck? Like, you just talk to God.
About what?
It's the way that we communicate to God.
And when I say this, I mean,
I'm getting kind of pissed off at your questions. It seems like you're trying to trap me in my words like a Pharisee. Are you trying to trap me in my words? You wouldn't want to be doing that, would you? That's awful.
You wouldn't be trying to project me now, would you?
Am
That would
I? I mean, do you guys? Am I wrong? Is it?
I asked a very simple question. I mean, I'm not trying to hate. I'm not
It
trying to
sounds
be
like you're
this is
trying to
like
trap me in my words. It's very.
this is
It's
a
trying
this
to
is a
piss me off.
preamble ramble to a gotcha moment. That's what this is.
Yeah. Is that what you're trying to do? Are you a little Pharisee?
Little
Dude, what's
Pharisee.
hold on,
You
hold on,
little
hold on. What's the
Pharisee trying to
point?
trap me in my words. Is that what you're doing?
Hold on, guys. What's the point in you bringing up what prayer is? Like, why does that even matter in your worldview?
Tell us why there's no God, Demi. That's what we want to know.
I've never been given sufficient evidence to support the idea that any God exists or has ever existed.
Okay. Are you saying that evidence is possible without God, or are you saying that it's indeterminate whether evidence is it the evidence of God is indeterminate?
Not necessarily. I just think the burden of proof lies with the believers.
Okay, but how can
I
you
believe
prove
that
something? But I think God's necessary for proof, but you don't think so. So, like, I don't know how you would prove anything without God. That doesn't make sense to me.
which God are you speaking about?
The God of the Christian Bible,
Yahweh?
the triune God of the Bible. He's not. I wouldn't call him Yahweh.
He is also the God of Islam, right?
No,
What?
we
Is
believe
he,
in
is
the.
he the
We
God of?
believe so. We believe the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit is God. Like the Jews and the Muslims don't believe the Son and the Holy Spirit are God.
But you recognize the three Abrahamic religions, the three monotheistic Abrahamic.
Yeah.
Okay, but you also they all have kind of different messages. Like Gabriel gave messages to different
Okay.
people, different
Well,
messages.
so what? There's progressive revelation.
Well, someone likes to tell me something about like, well, what if I'm wrong? You know, I stand the chance of possibly going to hell. Pascal's wagers, where we get into there, and I say, well, it's not necessarily that, but like,
Yeah, but this is nothing to do with anything.
I don't understand why.
Because like you're using logic. Where does that come from if it's not the God of the Bible?
So is God of the Bible logical?
Yeah, the God of the Bible is rational in nature.
Do you believe he's emotional?
Emotional? No.
Do you believe God gets angry?
No.
Has God ever done anything in the Bible that might indicate that he's
Dude,
angry?
what? And again, trying to trap me in my words.
I'm just
What
asking.
are you gonna? Okay, I'm just sick of you.
Look, if you want to believe in it,
Fucking joke.
They actually think that we're like gonna fall for that stuff. It's so funny.
Like constantly, it's like a lawyer trying to trap you. Welcome, neighbor.
Thank you. Thank you.
What would you like to say?
Well, I'm listening to the debate. It's not really a debate. It's more of a
Slaughter.
well, I'm not saying that either. I've heard you
I'm saying
before.
it.
I've heard you before, and I've heard you debate in your interpretation of what a debate is, and as soon
My
as
interpretation of what a debate
as soon
is.
as people start to
What's
ask
a debate?
questions, you
What's
kind
a
of slough
debate?
them off.
What's a debate?
I don't know. You've made that decision.
I don't know. What's a debate?
I said you've made that decision.
You said I have an interpretation of what a
You've
debate is.
defined debate. It's
Do you
your
know what it?
definition.
Well, so what it? Who defines it then?
I don't believe it's any type of definition that
There's
you're
no
offering.
It doesn't. There's no meaning.
I said
to the
I don't
debate.
believe it's any type of definition that
There's no
you're
type of
offering.
definition.
So
Okay.
what exactly is the definition of
Tell me how I'm
debate
wrong.
that you might
What am I
be?
doing
I don't
wrong?
know.
What am I
You
doing
might be
wrong?
wrong. I might be right, and it might be the opposite.
Yeah. So what? Why are you arguing with me if you don't even know? Who's
I'm
right
not
or wrong?
arguing with you. I'm discussing with you, and there's a difference.
I don't understand anything.
I know you don't understand, and that's one of the things that I've heard you say in the past. You don't understand.
Yes.
Do you believe that the Holocaust occurred?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Oh, that's an odd question.
what a weird question.
I would say yes. I do believe that, and I also would say apparently it has continued on the reasoning of non-believers. Oh.
I'm just in the comments, dude, and like people are just like so weird. Like somebody asked me when was Jesus' birth, and I'm like, well, if we can try to calculate that, Scripture says that it was around when or when he died. So that's when he was born. So if we go back and look at that, there's a range. Come on, dude. And then somebody else said something else about like slavery. It's still chattel. It's not chattel. It's not chattel slavery.
I have the differences right here. Okay.
Yeah,
So
they're too low.
American chattel slavery, it was racially based. Ancient Israel, not racially based. American chattel slavery allowed for hunting down people that ran away and returning them to their owner. In ancient Israel, runaways were protected. You could run away from your owner. In ancient Israel, there was a legal path to freedom. In American chattel slavery, there wasn't really a legal path to freedom. In ancient Israel, there was protection from abuse, and the laws were enforced. In American chattel slavery, did you guys know this? But black people were not allowed to testify in court. So unless like a white person testified that you were abusing a black person, you could just do whatever you want to black people, essentially. Not like ancient Israel at all. In ancient Israel, you didn't have the total ownership. You didn't own the person totally. In American chattel slavery, you had full ownership of the person. These are not comparable. Ancient Israel had regulated servitude, often for economic or survival reasons, with strict moral boundaries. It was not racial, not dehumanizing, and not permanent for Israelites. It looked more like indentured labor than American-style chattel slavery. Okay? Like, stop with this crap.
Oh my God, this guy said, I'm saying, he said, I am. He's still talking about American slavery, not just chattel slavery. Dude, it is chattel slavery. It is not the same as the servitude in the Bible. There are literally verses in the Bible where ancient Israelites asked to become a slave so that they could be able to provide for their families. That is called servitude. They literally volunteered to be slaves. They weren't forced. That is called servitude. They literally volunteered to be slaves. They weren't forced into it. That's a difference between chattel and ancient. That's one difference. Like, this is what I'm saying, bro. Like, go, like, stop. Just go do your research. Just go type in, don't type in American chattel, just type in chattel slavery versus slavery in the Bible. Just go look that up and you go look for yourself. My
You know what you
God.
do? Maybe something with a headline like "The Bible has voluntary slavery." Is that even possible?
Yeah,
So that people get it out of their
yeah,
minds that
yeah, it's not. It's servitude. They're serving so that they can be able to be so that they can provide for their families. Literally, that's
yeah,
what it is. But
yeah.
people are
Is it more
weird.
like a sharecropper?
Yeah, like I don't. Yeah, yeah. It's people are, dude.
Because
Okay,
when they were free, so the chattel slaves were set free. They had sharecropping, so basically they get a portion of what
yeah,
the land produces.
yeah. Well, check this out, guys. Check this out. Because they never want to. They always want to cherry pick the Bible, right? So
Yeah.
what about the people that God made the laws for when it came to servitude? Weren't they in chattel slavery under Egypt and didn't he free them?
Yes, this is what it's talking about in Leviticus 19. And the verse after this verse I have on screen, it talks about how you were oppressed in Egypt. And like, I don't want you to oppress other people, basically. Like, you were treated badly in Egypt, so you can't do that to other people. So God forbids them from doing. And what happened to them in Egypt was like an oppressive, cruel type of slavery, where they weren't allowed to leave. Moses had to
Well,
get
can I
God.
say that's
Yeah.
why I brought up that verse earlier with that guy, that the truth is not in him and he's a liar. Because if God is the one telling you that this man joined Christianity and didn't follow his ways and the truth was not in him, what's to say that he's going to suddenly have any truth when he comes to debate us about Christianity? Not God. God's already calling him a liar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, it would just make sense that he would continue his behavioral pattern
Yeah.
and hasn't changed to do a good faith debater or interlocutor.
Let God be true and every man a liar.
Amen.
It's literally just, I don't know. The reason why I get so how I am about slavery is because, like, well, one, I'm African American, and I feel like,
No way.
yeah, I'm African American.
I'm just teasing, man.
Yeah, I'm African American, but like,
I didn't want to assume.
there's been so many, with just within my culture about slavery. They don't like the Hebrew Israelites. They believe that we black people are the chosen people, and nobody else gets to go to heaven. And it's like, bro, like, and the way that they associate that is with the slavery in the Bible, but they don't even know what the slavery in the Bible actually was. It's nowhere near the slavery when it came to African Americans or when it came to Africans. It's not the same.
We was kings.
So I literally
I,
have
I knew
studied.
you were a cool guy.
I
I love the way I love your voice, and I love your. This is weird.
Oh my God. You're getting really cringe, Tab. Holy crap.
No, I was just listening to him.
Oh my
This is
God.
silencing so bad at night when he was like, I was sleeping and I was listening and take over my life, and he was talking to these guys. They're so weird. I was like, that's so funny. He had a cool voice.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I said multiple times. No, you. Oh my gosh. Okay, so then if it wasn't the same, then what does that mean? Zaklis, whatever your name is. If the servitude in the Bible is not the same as the slavery, that you, right, it still doesn't negate that they were allowed to own non-Israelites as property. Oh my gosh, bro. Oh
But
my god. Hey, just go and study. I'm not gonna answer you anymore.
yeah, they get the word property can mean like different things. Like there's intellectual property. Like
Yeah.
my uncle's an
Well,
engineer.
okay, take Shaquille O'Neal, right? Like if someone owns his contractual obligation and as a person, like okay, who are the people that did is it So You Can Dance? I think You Can Dance. They were murdered in their home, or is it all those people are volunteering to come and be contractually given to that particular show? I think it's American Idol.
Exactly.
American
Yeah.
Idol. They were murdered in their home. So if they had kids, okay, then everyone who had a contract with that American Idol and their kids were old enough to grow up and take over American Idol, they would be contractually given to their kids.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So they're volunteering. Everyone appears in droves to be contractually owned by American Idol.
It happens.
But because the parents were passed away because of murder in their homes, they are now contractually given to their home, to their owners. But it's a limited contract, right? It's not like a lifetime contract unless they choose to be bond servants, right?
Right. Well, what they're
So
gonna do is they're gonna bring up the verse where it talks about if a master gives a woman to the servant and they bear children, then the woman and the child have to are they still have to be with the master.
yeah, but that's
Yeah.
welfare.
Well, the way I think of this is the best way to explain it is that a
Ask them if
family.
they're on Medicaid or Medicare.
Is my mic working? They're
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
they're like their family is like a small business. So like being a wife is kind of like also a business contract, or being a son is kind of like a business contract, or the servant of the family is a business contract. So you'd have to like if I'm gonna if think about like if you work for another company, I might have to like pay the maybe like what is it I think maybe like sports. Like if I want a player on another team, I have to like give up something. Like you have to compensate the team for the player. So if you're gonna leave the business needs compensation for losing the worker. That's kind of how that's how their economics worked, basically. So
They don't. They just don't. I don't know, man. Like, yeah, I mean, I know, I understand why they're doing what they're doing, but then again, what standard are you appealing to be able to judge God and what He does, anyways?
well, it always comes down to that. I think that's the most important thing. We should always point out that everything they say is arbitrary.
I was just gonna say that because you always tell me, P Mars, the best thing you could always say is by what standard,
Yeah,
and then they have an answer.
yeah.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, and it's dumb because
Well,
they say, well, it's subjective and
I'll
morality
say
is.
like I prefer it.
Yeah. And well, the way that I started looking at it too was, if everything is subjective, then that means God is subjective, right? So then that means it really doesn't matter. It was His opinion, it was His preference. So why does it matter what He did?
Yeah, yeah. They don't really think deeply. They're very like surface level, and they're thinking. They basically take God for granted. Is what's going on. So we have to point out that they keep taking God for granted, and they're not going to want to. They're going to be super resistant because we're challenging like the authority of human reasoning, their autonomy. I should probably start cleaning up. Oh, there's one person requesting here, but I should probably start cleaning. I've been needing to clean my kitchen for like a month. It's pretty bad. Welcome, neighbor.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. What's up? This is like an area where you guys just discuss theology, right?
Oh, I changed the background, but yeah, usually I do the transcendental argument for God, where I prove the Bible's true because it's like
Okay.
necessary.
Okay. Can you just, run me through your iteration of the transcendental argument, or whatever you interpret it to be, and then I'll just try and understand it. Or is this like a different topic you guys are on?
Well, that's usually what I talk about is the transcendental argument. The idea is that facts aren't neutral. Facts require a story, and that the story of the Bible is the necessary story to have any fact. So I could like for a fact you need to have things like the reliability of your reasoning or your senses. And so like the story of the Bible where God, who's the source of all existence and truth, that designs you and designs your senses, he can design them to be accurate. Whereas the story of like, I don't know what you believe, but the story of say like, I don't know, Big Bang, evolution, there's nothing in that story that would say that we can trust our reason or that our senses are reliable. So,
Okay. So you're saying that because we can't, and just correct me if I'm wrong, sorry. So are you saying that because we can't entirely trust our senses, that there is a basis for our senses to be based on?
I'm saying that we have competing stories.
Hmm?
I'm saying that it has to do with the stories. Like that's the important thing, that you need the story to have any fact. And your story has to make sense of like your use of logic and your senses. So the Bible provides an answer to that, but the like story that science gives us or the story that Islam gives us, they don't do those. They don't do what the Bible does.
Okay, then what's the distinction between the Bible or the scientific theories?
The distinction would be your mind would be a product of evolution, which doesn't account for truth. Evolution just means that it's an attribute that helped you survive. So survive and truth aren't the same thing. And so that ends up being self-defeating because you couldn't trust your own reason. Whereas like if the source of truth in my story designs your mind, your reason, then you're guaranteed that it's accurate.
Oh, so what does I'm confused. So you're saying okay, the scientific, I guess, story that we would be basing our beliefs on in this instance, right? It would be just saying, oh, our minds are made from evolution. If you're saying that our minds are made from evolution, that would only denote the possibility of, I guess, survival, not inherently knowledge or logical absolutes. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you'd be your mind is a product of survival, not a product of truth. Like the truth didn't create your mind. In my model, the truth created my mind.
The truth created your mind. Okay, so why can't it have been proven? Because I don't understand what truth has to do with like affirming God's existence. I'm just like a little bit confused on that.
Well, to make it to even argue, there has to be facts. We have to make sense of our use because we use facts to argue. So,
okay,
if your story that you're bringing to the table can't make sense of facts, then you can't even argue. Where the Christian could argue because we can make sense of facts.
Because there's a Bible to base your sense of facts on.
Yeah, we have a foundation that would give us a basis to use like empiricism and rationalism. Or like
Okay.
empirical and rational proofs.
Okay. I kind of understand now. So the Christians, they believe that, all right, their facts are based on a foundation, that foundation being the Bible, right? That means you have a foundation to base all of your information, all of your knowledge on, right? And other scientific theories or other like Islam and whatnot can't provide that foundation for fact to be truth. Okay, so why inherently do you need a basis or like a foundation to base all of your beliefs on for something to be true? And let me give you an example, right? Let's say I don't have I guess a foundation for my house, right? I can still build my house and I still know that okay, I can get concrete, I can use all of these other materials. There are things that we can observe, right? Even if the, I guess, concept of evolution or whatnot would be based on the idea of survival, right? I don't see how it's mutually exclusive to the fact of us being able to observe the truth. Because as we know, absolute truths or logical absolutes aren't inherently dependent on all of these, properties that exist within our universe. Sure, like we would agree on that.
Well,
But that's not all there is to.
yeah, but the problem is, so when you, if you built your house on like shifting sand, then
Yes.
your house can potentially move. It's not. So your house can move with the if the foundation's moving, then the house could potentially move.
Okay, yeah, you know what, you're right. I think I gave a pretty
So
shitty analogy. I'm not
if
gonna lie.
think about like 1 + 1 = 2. If the foundation for 1 + 1 = 2 was shifting, then 1 + 1 maybe equals 3 tomorrow, and then everything collapses.
No, I understand. You're like you make sense when you. No, I understand. You're like you make sense when you say that. I gave a pretty bad analogy. Well, my point is, right, there's nothing that like I'm just gonna toss the
I think it's
analogy.
a good analogy.
That like I'm just gonna toss the
I think it's
analogy.
a good analogy.
Not really. It
Sure.
gives. I feel like it doesn't properly represent my point.
Oh
Because
no, it does. It
anyway,
does.
But the fact of the matter is, like, sure, yeah, like what I said, what you said was true. Yeah, if that isn't the case. However, my point is that there's still like a foundation to base your beliefs off of, and that foundation for me would be being able to observe.
No,
Right.
that's not a
That's what
fact.
laws
That's
are.
not a. That's not a.
Observations.
No, they're
We can
not.
get my point across.
Oh
And
my
we can
god.
just go back and forth. My point is that we base our facts and whatever we interpret the world and the universe to be off of observation. And interpret the world and the universe to be off of observation. And that is what we base, if we say, oh, 1 + 1 is 2, because that is what we base our logic on, what we observe.
No, that doesn't work because before you observe anything, logic has to be true. So logic has to be true prior to observation because the things you observe have to have an identity. If there's no law of identity, there's no observation. Therefore, you need something. Observation can't account for logic. It's just not what you're saying is nonsense.
Okay, I got a call. Can you repeat that last part for me?
Just that logic or observation. Logic has to be true before you observe anything, because to observe something, it has to have an identity, the law of identity. If there isn't a law of identity that's true prior to observation, you couldn't observe anything. So logic is prior to observation. Therefore, you can't use observation to explain logic.
Okay. The fact of the matter is, I think I understand what you're saying, right? And just tell me if I'm wrong. You're saying that logic and all of that, right, our absolute truths, can only make sense if God, the Christian God, exists, right? So then God must exist for us to have these facts. Is that what you just said?
Necessary truths require a necessary mind. You could put it like that. That's God, obviously. The necessary mind.
Okay. I don't understand why it has to be God specifically. Because if you reiterate your line of logic, I guess you could say,
You could argue
it doesn't independently demonstrate God's existence,
but
right?
why don't you argue what is it? If it's not the mind of God, then what is it? You'd have to argue something else. But then, like, how could you know it? It'd have to reveal itself. And to reveal itself, it'd have to be a mind. And then when we look at human history and creation, we have a revealed mind with the attributes to be the source of existence, the source of truth. The Muslim.
Yeah. Okay. Then yeah, there are many explain. Okay, I understand
There
your
aren't
argument.
many explanations.
This is a different argument. I've never heard of this argument before. I think I can get to what you're trying to say. All right. So you're saying that okay, there are no other alternatives, therefore it must be this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Or it's most likely to be this one. Right.
No, it's not mostly. It's necessary.
Oh, it has to be that one.
Yeah, it has to be Christianity because the denial of the revealed.
Okay. I'm just gonna move past like the argument through ignorance that was presented there, but like even if I just
definitely dropping you for saying that. There's no argument from ignorance there. Anyways, that guy was full of shit. Nah, I think I'm just gonna go clean. I'd be willing to talk to you, but that was really bad faith what you just did there. So you can go to hell.
Wait, what happened? What happened?
He just said I made an argument from ignorance when I said that the Christian God has the necessary attributes to like ground existence and truth.
Dude, how?
It's not an argument from ignorance. He just said that. It was bad faith for him to say that. It was a lie.
Hey, so let me ask you a question. So when there's a mind, right? Like God's mind actualizes things, right? Like, so for example, like redness, right? Like redness isn't actually like redness exists, but we actualize it by like for instance, like a red apple, right? But it's not it's showing redness, right? Like you can't actually touch redness, right?
Well, red colors are subjective because like I'm colorblind, so every color I see is going to look different than the colors you see. So colors aren't necessarily objective, but they are categories, and so the categories have to be real, but categories don't exist in the material world. So
Yeah.
we need a category that has actual existence, because if categories don't exist, then when you say that any word, it wouldn't mean anything, because there'd be nothing that there's. If categories don't exist and we're using categories in sentences, then they don't refer to it. They're not real. You see what I'm saying? Because they don't exist.
Yeah.
So we don't have that problem as Christians, because it's called divine conceptualism, that concepts have a concrete or actual or real. Concrete just means actual or real. So concepts, there are real concepts. Like human concepts aren't real. My concepts aren't real. But because God's mind is real, God's mind um, is the referent, or the where the categories exist in the mind of God in reality, so that they're meaningful. Um, it's like my mind can't, like your mind can't make um, something pop out of thin air, but like God's mind could, right? So God's mind makes things real where our minds don't. So that's the problem they have, is they try to make a human mind do what only the mind of God can, and they always run into these problems.
Well, if you think about it like this, right? Like, God did make us in his image. So, we as human beings, like, we can create to some like level. Like, we can create things, like we can imagine something and
No,
then
but
actualize it, right? But not to the extent of God, right?
no, we can create like a bridge, but like before you create the bridge, you have the concept of the bridge in your mind. The concept isn't real. Like the things in human minds aren't real, but God's mind isn't like that. The things in God's mind are real, because God's mind is real. Like, meaning like your mind, you can't move objects with your mind, right? But God could, because God's mind affects reality where our minds don't. But our minds kind of affect reality because we can move our bodies, but you have to use your body to create something. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, but did you see this comment? It's a fallacy to say God is responsible for things we cannot explain. You know what you know what a fallacy
Well,
is?
that's God of the gaps. I'm not using a God of the gaps fallacy.
Yeah.
I'm saying that without God, you would have a problem called an unexplained explainer. You would have no explanation for your explainer, where God is self-explanatory, so he doesn't have that problem. I was trying to highlight that with people.
Yeah. I know you got to go though.
These people keep requesting. I should do some cleaning. Welcome, David.
I'll drop down if you gotta go.
I can talk for a little if you want to ask a quick question or something. I just got to do
Yeah,
some
I
cleaning.
mean, I think where I get frustrated with theists is that y'all say that there has to be an explanation, and I would much rather take an agnostic perspective to say, hey, we don't know the answer, as opposed to pretending that we do. And I think that works from both the theistic and a non-theistic view, which is that we're all dust and we don't understand the entirety of God or reality. So it's just like there's a point of humility that we all need to take. And it gets a little scary when people say that they have the answer.
Well, I think the point of humility that we need to take is to submit to God's revelation. We have to be humble and be like, we can't do this on our own. We can't reason on our own. We need God to help us. I think that's the type of humility that's real.
Yeah, but then you have to demonstrate the existence of your God, which hasn't been really I mean, you could use Immanuel Kant to say that like the metaphysics can't lead to truth or false.
You've already like conceded that you basically you can't explain that you just have logic and you can't explain your logic.
No, I think it's a little bit more simpler than that. So I usually use set theory to explain it. So if I had like a set of 100 numbers, right? And 99 of them are the number 1, but I don't know the identity of the last one. Do I have a set of 100 ones?
No.
No, I mean, I could. It's possible. But I don't know until I know the denny of it. And my argument is we are so small in comparison to God or comparison to reality or whatever you want to put in the place of existence, to pretend that we either understand God or understand reality is hubris.
Okay, but do you think 1 + 1 = 2?
I think, yeah, you can get the logic there. That's mathematically done. But
Okay,
I
but
don't think the logical chain that you're about to throw at me is going to be enough evidence to convince me that Christianity is true. Just to save you some time.
is it possible 1 + 1 might equal 3?
It could if our logic is fallible. Yeah, I mean, there is a good chance we could be running on software for all we know, and that's why science has a very humble position of theory, big T, which is all evidence points towards it, but we don't know everything, so we can never say for sure.
Okay, well, you can say that. But I think you're being dishonest because I think you do believe 1 + 1 = 2, like always in all cases. And
Again, I I don't think I'm being dishonest. I'm allowing that there are things outside my understanding. I mean, I can go through the
well,
mathematical proofs that people use, like Richard Russell went through, like 1 + 1 = 2.
I mean, there's no math though because if there's no logical math relies on like
Logic.
a structure that provides a consistency. There's no
Yeah.
if you say like, well, maybe 1 + 1 can equal 3, that destroys logical consistency. So now we don't have math. Now nothing makes sense. I think that's absurd.
Well, no, it's actually not as difficult as you think. So, like, I work in data, and if I store an integer in a float field, then it doesn't equal 1. It equals 1.00000001. So storage matters. There's a whole bunch of ways you could talk about the reality in existence and levels and dimensions that we don't understand. So, like, for instance, if I look at
This is irrelevant to the point I'm making, though.
a set of 2,
I don't care.
and
Well,
1
I
is
care.
consistent behind it. Sorry, well, go ahead.
I don't know. It just seems like I care about truth and you don't. So
No, I do care about truth. I just don't think I'm big enough to observe it.
there is no
Do you
truth.
think you are?
Everything you're saying is nothing is true. But
No, I'm not saying that anyway. I'm just saying I'm too small to see the whole.
okay, well that's cool. But the entailment of your position is that you wouldn't be able to know anything at all.
No,
And
I would, just not from my relative position.
okay, you're not understanding.
I think I am, but please keep going.
No, you're not. Your position makes knowledge impossible. Whereas like I want to have like evidence and reasons for my beliefs, and I believe in truth and stuff.
All right, well, let me give you another position. So both of us will live to be about 80, if we're lucky, 100 or so, if we're unlucky, less. Do you think you can, in those 80 years, understand all of reality?
I don't have to understand all of reality. All I have to know is that something is what it is, and it isn't what it isn't. And if you deny that, then your system collapses.
But say you lived 80 years inside the Matrix. Would that mean you're living in the real world?
No.
Yeah, no, imagine you
I'm
were
not-
living in a simulation your entire
Well, I
life.
mean, if
How
I'm
would
living in
you
a
know?
fake, I wouldn't.
Then how can you say you know any type of truth if it's possible that everything
Because
is... Yeah. Do you get what I'm getting at? That you can never understand truth because you are perceiving it?
yeah, but there's a way out of that with God's revelation.
Yeah.
If we start
Do you
with
feel like?
like
Can I say
God,
something?
well, just let me. If we start with the source of truth and the source of existence revealing itself, then we can know things. And if we deny that, then we can't know anything.
And the same argument could be said for Odin. I mean, you could say you start with Odin, and therefore we're all going to Valhalla.
Not necessarily,
That's not
because
true.
Odin is contingent on creation. All other gods, other than the God of the Bible, is contingent on creation.
So you're saying there's no other creator gods than
It's like
yours?
what you're saying is like, 1 + X equals 3. Well, I can just put any number in, and it'll equal 3.
Well,
Only
we'll do this really easily.
in reality, only the number 2 would make the equation true because only 2 has the properties, right? So this is how we prove God. Only the revealed God of Scripture of the Bible has the properties. So it's
But
like algebra.
metaphysics can't lead to truth. I
But-
mean, how do you know it's your God and not Ammon or Quetzalcoatl or Ra or Shiva or Yahweh?
But
or-
again, you're forcing your position on me. It's your
No, no, I'm
position,
saying you can't
sir,
lead the truth.
sir. It's your position that you're in an environment where God didn't reveal Himself, and that you
Mm-hmm.
can reason without reference to God.
So you're
But
claiming
you've
Gnosticism.
also conceded that's impossible. Yet you're sitting here arguing. So like
No, no,
all of your
I'm.
thoughts and actions betray the truth that you're utterly dependent on the God of the Bible, and you know way out of
Okay.
this.
Yeah, it's funny
Guys,
because
wait,
you go
wait,
like, does God exist? And all of a sudden we're down to zombie
listen,
nations.
listen, wait,
You know?
wait. So you said, okay, well, what if there is? Why is it the God of the Bible? I'll give
Yeah.
you one
Can I say
example.
something?
Oh yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, so this is just a variation of the. I'm just asking my Christian friends here, but do you guys see the pattern that Satan has sequestered these guys to do to us? To ask the same question he asked Eve: did God really say? And then he's pushing on it
Yeah,
over and over again. Did God really say? Did God really say?
yeah,
And it's just a different variation of questions. Then the guy's asking innocently, "Oh, how do you really know? We don't know anything's true." So he's trying to get you to deny that God has revealed you should not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, or you should surely die. It's just a variation of forms of questions
yeah.
or
Rats,
suppression of the truth.
You're
you
Yeah.
caught
literally
me. I'm gonna
doing,
go retreat to my evil cave and think of
yeah,
another
you're
question.
literally doing the same thing that in the very
Just like
beginning.
say for Daddy Satan.
You're literally doing the same thing.
You caught me. I'm exposed.
You
Yeah,
okay?
I will go back to my evil atheist cave and.
Yeah, go ahead. So you're not agnostic, you're atheist.
No, you're not arguing from good faith here. You've already poisoned the well that any argument I bring to you is
Yeah,
because I'm the devil in form, right?
yeah. Okay. So you're gonna run. Go ahead.
No, I'm still here. It's just you're poisoning the well, and it's a very
I mean,
shitty
it's
debate
true.
tactic.
Is it not true?
That I'm influenced by the devil.
No. Is it not true that you're literally doing the same thing that he did? Do you even know the story? Do you even see like what he did?
Are you talking about Satan?
Yeah, in the beginning. Have you ever read that?
Yeah, the part where he tries to get Adam and Eve to partake of the fruit of good and evil
Yeah, what was the point of him doing that? What
to
was
bring knowledge into the world. A kind of Prometheus-like character.
No. Oh
You
my
can
god.
laugh it off. I mean, there's lots of parallels between Prometheus and Lucifer.
What?
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
showing.
the whole point of it was getting them to disobey God.
Mhm.
Literally the whole point.
So, if you were an all-powerful God, would you allow this much confusion? I mean, if you really cared about your subjects?
Dear Lord. How many times have we heard this conversation?
Apparently, not enough to get to me.
Yes, you would, because if you value people's freedom, you permit them to make mistakes. Where like a dictator god would just like force you to.
Well, let me ask: Are you parents by any chance?
No.
No. Okay. So I have children, and if they
Yeah,
do something that's going to hurt them, I intervene. It's not me taking away their free will. It's me trying to
So does
teach.
God. Like he flooded the planet. He.
No, I think that's called executing your children. That's
No,
a
it's
very
called
different.
it's called intervening to save them from themselves. So he slaughtered the Amalekites. He unalived the firstborn. See, and then when God intervenes, see, notice how he complains when
yeah,
God
yeah.
intervenes,
Then he should.
and
Oh,
then when
it's
God
so
doesn't
easy.
intervene, he complains when God. So basically, what he's saying is God can't do anything right.
You
When
know
he
what? When
intervenes,
my child reaches for the stove, I should chop their hand off. That seems like a good, reasonable.
When God intervenes, he's bad. When God doesn't intervene, he's
They
bad.
do
So
that
like,
all the time. They go, well,
so
why doesn't God intervene? Oh,
it's
but he does. I don't like it. Either way, like as you can see, he's not gonna
it's a
he's not
double
gonna
thing.
satisfy you.
Whatever God does, God is bad. Doesn't matter.
It's so
Everything.
crazy.
So
And like
completely irrational.
well, dude, when God intervenes, if you read what were they doing before he intervened? They were literally doing stuff to each other. Like human they were unaliving each
Do you like
other.
how I use arguments where they he's like God never intervenes. I'm like, yeah, he did. He flooded the planet and slaughtered the amount. Like I just go straight to their arguments against God and use them against them.
Yeah, dude, it's so slow. It's
I'm tired
war.
of being. I'm not ashamed that God slaughtered the Amalekites. Dude, war happens. Shit happens. That's reality. Like, what am I gonna do? Like,
even
yeah,
if even if that, you have to understand what they were doing. He doesn't just do it for any reason like we
right.
do. Like there was a reason he did it, because they were literally unaliving each other to worship a false god. They
Just
were
because, yeah, just because humans do things for imperfect reasons, when they're in power, they think God in power does things for imperfect reasons, but they forget God's perfect. He's not like a human.
bro. It's weird how they try to come in and use a book that they don't study. Notice there's a difference
Yeah.
between reading and studying.
They just read it all day. They just read the Leviticus 25:42 over and over again. That's all.
Jesus Christ, bro. I
Um.
uh,
Yeah, I should take off. I should do some stuff. Thanks for hanging out, guys.